The jungle was old, older than time itself, some would say. Sunlight struggled to pierce the dense canopy, casting long, eerie shadows. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decaying vegetation and the musk of unseen creatures. The jungle whispered secrets, ancient and terrible, to those who dared listen. The villagers knew the jungle's heart. They knew its rhythms, its dangers, and its strange, unsettling beauty. They lived in a cautious harmony with the wilderness, respecting its power and fearing its wrath. For at the jungle's heart, where the air hung heaviest and the sun never reached, dwelled a darkness that whispered of forbidden things. Kofi was different. From a young age, he felt a restlessness that others in his village did not understand. He wasn't content with the simple life of the village. While others found joy in the routine, Kofi yearned for something more, something beyond the horizon. Ambition burned in his eyes, a hunger for power that set him apart. His gaze was always distant, as if he could see a future that no one else could. He sought knowledge, not from the village elders, but from the whispers of the jungle's heart. The dense foliage and the shadows held secrets that called to him. He spent his days venturing further and further into the jungle's depths. Each step he took was a step away from the familiar and a step closer to the unknown. He sought out hidden groves where the air vibrated with unseen energy. These places were untouched by human hands, filled with a mystical aura that both frightened and fascinated him. Kofi listened to the whispers, the promises of power that echoed in the rustle of leaves and the cries of unseen birds. He believed that the jungle spoke to him, offering him the knowledge he craved. He learned of the Nganga, a sorcerer who dwelled in the deepest darkness, a master of forces beyond human comprehension. The tales of the Nganga were both terrifying and alluring, and Kofi knew that finding him was the key to unlocking his own potential. With every journey into the jungle, Kofi felt himself growing stronger, more attuned to the ancient energies that pulsed through the land. He was determined to master these forces, to rise above the ordinary and become something extraordinary. Driven by his insatiable desire, Kofi sought out the Nganga. He journeyed for days through treacherous swamps and past ancient trees twisted into grotesque shapes. He found the Nganga in a clearing where the air crackled with energy and the very ground seemed to pulsate. The Nganga was ancient, his skin like dried bark, his eyes burning with an unnatural light. He listened to Kofi's desires, a thin smile playing on his lips. A pact was made, a dark bargain struck under the watchful gaze of the uncaring jungle. Kofi would receive the power he craved, but at a terrible price. Kofi returned to the village changed. He exuded an aura of power, his eyes blazing with newfound strength. Crops flourished under his touch, and sickness seemed to shy away from his presence. He quickly rose to prominence, his every word law. But the jungle's price was not easily paid. The shadows clung to Kofi, whispering dark secrets only he could hear. His dreams were haunted by visions of the Nganga, his laughter echoing in the dead of night. The power he wielded began to corrupt him, twisting his thoughts, his actions, his very soul. The villagers, initially awed by Kofi's power, began to fear him. His gaze held a chilling intensity, his words laced with an unsettling edge. The crops, once bountiful, began to wither. The air itself felt heavy with dread, the laughter of children replaced by a fearful silence. Whispers of the pact Kofi made spread through the village like wildfire. The elders, keepers of ancient wisdom, recognized the signs of the Nganga's dark magic. They knew that Kofi, consumed by the darkness he had embraced, was now a danger to them all. The villagers, desperate and afraid, turned to the oldest among them, a woman named Asha. They had no other choice, for the darkness that loomed over their village was unlike anything they had ever faced before. Asha, her back bent with age but her eyes still sharp with wisdom, had seen the darkness before. She had lived through many seasons, witnessing the rise and fall of countless challenges. But this one was different. She had warned against seeking power from forbidden sources, but her words had gone unheeded. The villagers, in their desperation, had turned to the Nganga, a sorcerer whose magic was as dark as the night itself. Asha listened to the villagers' pleas, her heart heavy with a grief she did not show. She knew that their actions had consequences, and now they were paying the price. She knew the price of the Nganga's magic, the terrible toll it took on both body and soul. The dark rituals performed by the Nganga were not without cost, and the villagers were now suffering the repercussions. She knew that confronting Kofi, now little more than a puppet of the darkness, would be a perilous task. Kofi, once a beloved member of the community, had been consumed by the very power he sought to control. But she also knew that to do nothing would condemn them all. The village's survival depended on their unity and courage, and Asha was determined to lead them through this darkness, no matter the cost. Under the sickly glow of the moon, the villagers gathered in the clearing where Kofi had first met the Nganga. Fear hung heavy in the air, a tangible presence that suffocated all hope. Asha, her frail hand gripping a gnarled staff, stood at the center, her voice a low chant that resonated through the trees. She drew upon the ancient magic of their ancestors, the magic of life and light, a stark contrast to the corrupt power that flowed through Kofi. She called upon the spirits of the jungle, the benevolent forces that watched over the land, to aid them in their struggle. Kofi appeared, drawn by the power of Asha's ritual. The air was thick with tension, the night alive with the hum of ancient energies. The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. His eyes blazed, his laughter echoing through the clearing, a chilling counterpoint to Asha's chanting. The sound was both terrifying and mesmerizing, a dark symphony that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. He lashed out with the Nganga's magic, tendrils of darkness reaching out to crush the villagers and their hope. The villagers cowered, their faces etched with fear as the malevolent force threatened to engulf them. Asha stood firm, her voice unwavering, her spirit unbroken. Her chants grew louder, a beacon of light in the oppressive darkness. She drew strength from the earth beneath her feet and the spirits of her ancestors. She met Kofi's darkness with the light of her ancestors, a battle of wills that shook the very foundations of the jungle. The clash of energies created a storm of light and shadow, a cosmic dance of good and evil. But Asha knew that she could not defeat the Nganga's magic, only hold it at bay. The strain was immense, her body trembling with the effort, but her resolve remained unshaken. A terrible realization dawned on her. The only way to save her people was to offer herself in Kofi's place. She understood that her sacrifice was the key to breaking the dark spell. With a heavy heart, she prepared for the ultimate act of bravery, knowing that her legacy would live on in the hearts of her people. With a final, heart-wrenching cry, Asha poured all her life force, all her love for her people, into her magic. The clearing blazed with a blinding light, driving back the shadows and engulfing Kofi. When the light faded, both Asha and Kofi were gone. A heavy silence descended upon the clearing. The villagers, numb with shock and grief, could only stare at the spot where their elder, their protector, had stood moments before. The jungle, silent witness to the night's events, offered no answers, no comfort. The villagers returned to their homes, forever marked by the night's events. The memory of Asha's sacrifice, her selfless act of love, would forever be etched into their hearts. Life in the village slowly resumed, but the shadow of the Nganga's magic lingered. Kofi's story served as a chilling reminder. The pursuit of power through dark means exacts a terrible price. The jungle, with its whispers and secrets, remained a source of both life and danger, a constant reminder of the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the world.